up. That's one of the biggest minions I've ever seen. Grace Valana, the leader. Grace Valana. Grace Valana.
Well, for those of you that don't know, Martin Locke is a Zimbo, and that's always against someone because those Wenwees, they got a lot to say. But nice
Sorry, I was born in Manchester.
Oh, were you?
On the red
with
side.
the Beatles?
They were Liverpool.
They were Liverpool.
He was on the red side.
Excuse me,
Liverpool
Manchester United, and when things are bad, Manchester City.
That's fair enough. Fair enough.
Are you a Manchester United supporter?
Oh, unbelievable. Since I was 5, I wanted to play soccer for Manchester United. I wanted to play cricket for Lancashire. And if I couldn't do that, I wanted to be a commentator when I was 10. And my dream was I wanted to really commentate about cricket. And that happened. So
I saw you got inducted into the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts in London. That's quite a start to one's life.
well, they choose 2 students a year from Africa. And in my year, I think I was 16 then. I was chosen, and I had to make a big decision. And I went to see my headmaster, and he said, well, if you're going, I think it's a good thing. First time I ever seen him smile. He said, you played cricket for the first team, you played rugby for the first team, and on the stage, he says, you're going to be a success, but I'm happy you're going. That was it.
And then how did you end up in Zimbabwe?
Well, when I was very small, I moved with my father after the war. As a youngster, we went to North Africa, and we were there in Libya for a year or so. Came back to England, and then we moved on to Kenya, and we were in Nairobi around about Mau time, so I've been through it all. And then it was on back to England, back to Zimbabwe, and then to try and tolerate Ian Smith.
Well, I think I'm just looking at your CV here, and you presented at some stage Housewife's Choice. Now, what is that?
Well, I had a wonderful break in my life. A guy called Jerry Wilmot, who was one of the best newsreaders in the world. He liked the work I was doing, and I was in my very, very early 20s. He said, I'm going to send you to England. And I went to England, and I met up with the guys at the BBC and ITV. And in a space of 2 years, I did Housewife's Choice, which is a postcard program. I was on Radio Luxembourg for about 6 months, and I did the Olympic Games from Tokyo, which I did in London for ITV. And I had my own soccer program, Premier Division. You would have enjoyed that.
Oh, I love that.
And I did it on my own. I wish I'd had an expert with me. But that was the break. And
Yeah.
I had about 2.5, 3 years of that, went back to Zimbabwe. And then the great move to South Africa, which was, well, it's been the most amazing time.
What year was that, Martin?
I came here in 1976.
But you started with horses in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, well, look, my racing brother, which is Robin Bruss, the Bruss family, Georgie and Les Bruss, the late couple, they could have been my parents. And Gareth, Leslie, Ashley, Robin is my real butch, and his twin sister, Dee Dee. Fabulous people. They taught me everything I know about horses, and I think I taught Robin everything he knows about broadcasting, and I think he is one of the leading bloodstock agents in the world, and I think he's also one of the best presenters I've certainly produced, along with Andrew Bond and Julie and a few of them.
Hey, you've been, the main thrust of your whole life has been horses. You've loved the horse, and you've done a lot of work with SABC to try and get horses. Top Sport was your big thing, wasn't it?
Yes, no, it was. Look, I think it's fair to say that music, sport, and horses played a huge role. I owned quite a few horses with Robin in Zimbabwe. Owned a lot down here, the Crescent Fields and Dream Fields. We ran in the July. That was a wonderful occasion. But the biggest thing for me was when the SABC said, look, are you prepared to give up your commentating on cricket and rugby and boxing and golf and everything? And are you prepared to be our #1 presenter for Transformation? And I want to tell you, I didn't even think about it. There was a program called Mabaleng, and I took that over, and we had a Welsh producer. And it was just, to me, you know, if you've lived in Zimbabwe and you lived under UDI, my father was a great friend of Sir Humphrey Gibbs, who represented the British government there, and he he taught me how bad things were in that country. You know, we had to live a landlocked country. It was such a disaster. And my dad said to me, look, I'm going to Malawi. I'm not staying here. He said, you should go to South Africa. So I said, what do you mean? Out of the frying pan into the fire. And he said, no, it's going to come right in South Africa. And you should be there because you've got the right sort of feeling for it.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a second with Martin.
Here we go. Successful Magic Millions graduates, Europe to Africa and reset in blue. And on to part 2 with Martin Locke. Martin, I want to ask you about your Martin Locke enterprise that you formed in 1972.
Well, we did everything. I think they had Operation Hunger concert where there was 120,000 people at Ellis Park, and Louis Layton and Robert Denton at the big stadium there. So look at Ellis Park. Why don't you put on a concert here? You're in the music business. I've been very involved. I had my own record chain, and then with the Gallows in South Africa. That's why I came down here to run the CNA chain, which was 250 stores. But it was very. So where was I? It was.
Well, the concert that you had
with the concert.
Ellis Park.
They said, look, no, we want to do it professionally. And so I got hold of the boys, Roddy Quinn and the boys, and I was very friendly with all the artists. And we put this on. There were about 60,000 people. And Louis said, look, we've got to make money. We did it for charity before. And, you know, we got Yvonne Chaka Chaka and the late Brenda Fassie and all my friends, Johnny Clegg. And I put that on with my late wife, and it was such a success. And at that time, I was still running the CNA, I was still doing the sport, and then I became CBS Managing Director for the Gallo Group, which was half America, half South Africa. So music was a huge part. But horses...
Are you a wannabe muser? You know, are you...
I'm tone deaf, but I'm a dancer.
You're a dancer?
I'm a dancer, like
I'm
you.
also a very good dancer.
Yeah.
You and I are both dancers, so we both can't sing.
You brought something up I would like to talk about. Is that when we put on the Top Sport Bloodline Million and the Top Sport Guineas and with the breeders, and I went to America with Lowell Price and with Graham Hawkins and a few other people, and we had and Robin, and we had a magic trip because I'd managed to get racing onto the SABC every Saturday. And Robin and I put this package together, and along with Raymond Rogers here, Heather Hilditch in Cape Town, Dieter Wahlberg in Johannesburg, Mike Domain, myself and Robin, we were about the core to get racing going. It wasn't just me. I mean, I wanted to do it because I'm mad about horses. And we managed to get this going. I want to do it again. We've got to get back. A, we have to get the young people to the racecourse, and B, we have got to get back with the SABC. We need that exposure.
I agree with you 100%.
It's frightening what's going on. And I want to talk to our Minister of Justice and his lovely wife. I want to say, why are we not doing something about this now? Why are we not saying, what does cricket pay to get on? What does rugby pay? Horse racing pays if they want to get something onto the SABC. And it is nonsense because the majority of the population just love horse racing.
Yeah, it's the sport of the people.
It's the sport of the people, and it's the sport of us as well. And it's absolute, to me, it is mind-blowing because if you think of what happened on Saturday with Shimanga Khumalo and how it's all going and how it's moving. I'm working at the South African Jockey Academy as well. And I must say, it's the one thing I love doing. Sheldon Peters is helping me. We go along there on a regular basis. And we're looking at the Khumalos and the youngsters and Graham Hawkins' boy, who's just won his first race. We're teaching them about television and how to talk. And it is so exciting. And I want to get this onto the SABC. We must get back with our Grade 1 races. Sorry, guys.
Okay. You know, I can tell you an amusing story to viewers out there. Years ago, I met Martin Locke in a parade ring, and everyone knew who Martin Locke was, and he was wearing a Man United tie. And he knew me, and I knew him when I went up and spoke to him, and I said, how's it going, Marty? What's that tie you got, Man United? He said, oh, die hard. I said, I'm Spurs. So he said, let's have a bet who finishes higher in the league. I'm going back many years. And I said, you got a bet. What'll the bet be? And he said, a case of shivers. I haven't drank whiskey in my life. I said, you got a bet. And the first year, Spurs finished ahead of Man United. So you're going to have to go back a good few years. They did. And Martin duly arrived, wrapped up by case of Chivas Regal. Fantastic. The next year, the bet was carried on, and Marty was a DJ in Joburg. And he used to come in, and Marty zooms into your weekend, or Lockie zooms into your weekend. Yes, I hope Lafney's listening. Spurs have lost. And the second year, Man United thumped us. So I went down to the bottle store and I walked in. I thought I've got to get a case of Chivas Regal. I got there on the counter and I saw 112 rand a bottle. I thought I've got to give Lockie. So I went down to the guy. I thought maybe it was a discount price. And I went to the guy and I said, "What price is your Chivas Regal? I've just seen some out there." He said, "Do you want the 12-year or the 21-year?" I said, "Oh, I've seen the 21-year. I said, "No, I want the cheaper of the two." He said, "That's 112 a bottle." I said, I'll have a case." I couldn't believe it. I said, "No more bets." Thank goodness I've never done a bet with Martin again. I gave me Chivas Regal, and Spurs have never finished ahead of Man United again. You know that,
And they're never likely to.
I remember that. Our case of bet. Remember that case of Chivas Regal.
But the whiskey's good.
Yeah.
But you know, getting back to your involvement in presenting music, you've become probably one of the few household names in South Africa as far as presenting is concerned. You know, there are many people that have presented on and off in their lives, but you, Charles Fortune, is another who would spring to mind. You ask anyone about Martin Locke, they all know who you are.
Well, I think it's quite simple. I believe if you have a passion in life, follow it, no matter what anybody says. Never mind what my headmaster had to say to me. Follow your passion. My passion was music, sport, and I wanted to be a commentator and a presenter. And at 19, I was already on the payroll of a television channel, and that's all I've done. And I love it. But what is even nicer now, like I say at the Academy, where are fantastic jockeys that we've got coming through there, and just so that they can present themselves and get more rides and put themselves over and good for the country and everything else. But if you knew the names, I mean, I just spent the year with Teletrack, training and mentoring maybe 12 to 20 presenters. All of them, I got such an unbelievable welcome back from, you know, Shaheen and Nico and all the guys, Julie and up there. And it was so, they were just said, "Look, it's fantastic to have you back because we want to go through things and do things." So it's been an amazing experience. We found some new talent, Mark van Deventer, Vicky Mino, you've got Wesley Bowman down here. I enjoyed on Saturday when I was presenting with Andrew Bonn, and I was looking at and watching him, and I thought to myself, you know, I'm learning from Andrew now. I think I've taught him too well, because I think he's doing better than I do.
Martin, you're the king of presenters. There's no doubt about that. What are you doing with yourself now? Because you're looking like far too unstressed for a person that's got a big job.
No, I'm doing now what I want to do, and that is I play golf, maybe 9 holes nearly every morning at De Zalze in Stellenbosch. I had a wonderful meeting with Graham Hawkins down here a few months ago, and he said, "Look, how would you like to go back onto TV?" And so I started laughing, and he said, "Why are you laughing?" I said, "Well, I shave every morning, brother, so you know, I don't know about that. I don't think that's a good idea." But he said, "Look, I think it would be a good idea for many reasons." I said, "On one condition, and that is I don't take the place of Paul Dees, who I found and who I love dearly." And he said, "He's come on unbelievably in your program, I must tell you. When you're away, he's fantastic. But I found these people, and there's a sort of an affinity with them. And I don't know, I can do other things." But Graham said, "Well, look, come for the Champions season, which has been remarkable. And I can tell you, this is the best Champions season I have ever seen in South Africa. And at the same time, at Kenilworth, their racing season was unbelievable. And then what we had in Gauteng with the big races was superb. This has been an amazing year for racing. So yes, I'd love to stay in the game. I'd love to do that. And I said to Graham, look, if I can do my old stuff in the parade ring, if we can get some more cameras, because we can't do it at the moment, I would love to be talking to you guys in the ring. I prefer doing that, getting the trainers, the jockeys before the race. I mean, they tell the story to me when I'm standing there now. Let's get that going, and it'll bring people